train, waiting on a train. Everybody's waiting on a train. Come to town just to sit around. Everybody's waiting on a train. I know a good little bit of band with all these growth campaign. Same exit at 55, and it makes me mad. Am I still waiting on a train?
Welcome into the Boardroom Podcast. I'm Ward 6 Alderman Ben Piper.
I'm a Chad Wicker from Ward 4. It's been a while since we had a show, Ben. Been busy and end of the year, Christmas, and then we were down in Jackson. I think the last time we did a show was in December, I think.
It was a while. Our equipment's been frozen, I guess. I don't know if that's what it was.
Well, we were in Jackson, strong-arming legislators for money. That's what we were doing. So
it has snowed. The last time we had a podcast, between then and now, it has snowed twice. That's how long it's been. When was the last time it snowed twice in Hernando?
I remember the what was that, 21?
Yep.
Was it?
Yeah,
I think that was
it.
Or was it COVID year 20? One of those years, like they got out of school for like a week for snow, and then it was like another day for snow, and then spring break, and they never went back.
This year, in my opinion, perfect snow.
Oh yeah,
Perfect amount of
snowball snow.
Snow school's out on a Friday. Everybody gets a 3-day weekend. Sled, snowball fight. You know, if you're able to work from home, you're able to work from home. Still have a good time. But by Monday, it's all pretty much gone.
I think that work from home stuff's going away, man. The president's not going to put up with that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a federal employee, I'm sorry, but you got to dust off the cubicle and get back to it. But it was the perfect amount because the roads never really got that bad. You know what I mean? But you still got a good bit of snow, all this stuff. It was perfect. And then the other snow that we got was just kind of like a little dusting or whatever. But it was crazy to see, you know, like Mobile and Pensacola and New Orleans just get 7-8 inches of snow. Like I can't imagine what was going on down there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the video of people skiing down Bourbon Street and snow skiing.
Yeah,
I think they got like 10 inches of snow there. That was something that you never really see. So it's I think that was a perfect storm. I think you had a severe cold front come through and caught the moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico or whatever, America, whatever we call it now. So.
Gulf of America.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And of course it led to memes and people poking fun on Twitter that they don't have ice melt and
they're not designed for that
down there, so they're throwing Tony Chachere's Cajun seasoning on the road to get the snow melted or whatever. But people have fun with it, and hopefully everybody's safe. If you know somebody down there, hopefully they're all safe. It did delay my king cake order from Louisiana. I had some king cakes coming up.
You're a king cake guy.
Yeah. We're hosting. I think 20 6th grade girls at our house for the 6th and 7th grade dance at Hernando Middle School.
Oh, okay, that's coming up. Yeah,
and so we were like, well, for dessert we'll have king cake because it's kind of that season.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of likes it. It's So I was getting some brought up to me from Slidell. With all the snow and so they're like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to get it to you. All right, well, so we got to come up with another plan. So we're on. We'll come up with something. We're trying to decide if we're just going to do maybe some cookies from Mississippi Eats or something
y'all
like
always
that.
You always do a good little something. So.
We like to have a good spread. Food's important. Speaking of food, I had somebody ask me the other day, what new restaurants do we have coming to Hernando?
Oh,
okay.
You want to spill the beans?
And there's no beans to be spilled, but I think it's one of those questions that always comes about. Because people want to know, and there is some that have been out there, but I don't know if we've talked about them on the podcast though, because people have said, hey, I just ran into somebody at like Windy City Grill over the weekend. They're like, hey, is there any new restaurants coming? So if you don't know already, Lost Pizza is coming to the old DeSoto Times building, where Magnolia Soap is.
They're going to be on the back side.
They're going to be on the back side of that building. People have been asking what's going to come there. So Lost Pizza is coming in there. I think it could be a phenomenal location for them.
Yeah.
It's right there near the square. Could be really, really good. Hopefully it's family friendly, all that stuff. But that's one of those ones that I think people may have heard about, but it is coming. So that's some exciting stuff. There very well could be some coming to the Toyota across from the Toyota dealership. There's some new buildings going up there, and I think they're pursuing some restaurants to come in there.
I think we're good to say the Marcos was a gun deal.
Okay, so Marco's Pizza, I guess, is one of the very high prospected ones that's probably coming in there. There's been some other ones that are rumored, but until they really get close to signing paper and getting the leases done, and all that stuff, we can't really always publicly disclose them. Yeah. But that's one of those things that people love, that kind of information. So we wanted to share that because there are some that are coming. So pizza continues to be a trend for Hernando. Yeah. Lots of families, that sort of thing. But
I think people would be excited that it's not a Mexican restaurant.
They will be excited it's not a Mexican restaurant, but we do have a lot of Mexican, a lot of pizza.
Sure.
Because people like pizza and Mexican.
Have we talked about the Buffalo Wild Wings and the Dunkin' Donuts and the other pizza place that?
We have talked about those. We have talked about those coming in. And then across from the new high school in Delta Landing, I know they're pursuing some restaurants there. Mm-hmm. Potentially a coffee shop, a sandwich kind of eatery, whether it's a Jersey Mike's or a Nuke's or something like that, something of that, kind of persuasion, if you will.
I'm big on Jersey Mike's. That's a pretty
you
good
like
sandwich.
Jersey Mike's?
Oh, yes.
Do you do the sub in a tub? Do you go no bread and just put all the ingredients in a plastic container?
When I go there, I'm going all out. I go to Jersey Mike's, with all the little juice or whatever on it, and vinaigrette and all that.
I'm with you. But
you got to eat it there. You can't bring it home.
No.
It's too soggy. You got to eat it there.
I'm with you on that because if you're already going out to eat, don't, just enjoy yourself every now and then. If you're eating at the house, eat healthy, right? Yeah. I'm on a health kick. I'm trying to get down a few lbs. Myself.
You been running anymore?
I haven't. Dude, I'll be honest. Listen, you got to, I know Chad's giving me a judgy face right now, just so you know. When it gets below about 50 degrees, I've lived my entire life south of I-40, okay? That's not that far north, but I would say the bulk of my life below I-20. If I'm really that's probably half of my life is below I-20. Right. I'm not built for cold. I don't like it. I'm happy to get a day or two of snow here and there. Anything below 50 degrees, I really do not want to be outdoors.
So if the temperature is below my age, I go on the treadmill.
Okay, that's a good policy. That's a good policy. So it's in the 20s or 30s. You're not out there running. Okay.
Whoa. Late 30s. Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm just saying. All right. Enough of that. That's kind of our little personal life updates there. Let's get into some of the city business we went into. Chad mentioned earlier a trip down to Jackson. We were very, very honored to be invited by the Mississippi Municipal League to teach a session on strategically communicating with your constituents, effective communication strategies, I think it was called. And Chad and I were asked to talk about this very podcast you're listening to right now. We had a really good crowd, to be honest with you. I mean, it was
good response.
A lot of people.
I've talked, I gave out my email there, and I've had some people reach out to me. So, this whole thing is built on transparency and giving information to the public about what's going on in your city government. And so hopefully we can take that message to other cities, and they can provide that to their constituents. And I always think that, a government functions best when it's transparent and open up. So, and not saying that Hernando was not transparent or open in the past, but I think we've taken that to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, it's important for people to know with this, as just a quick little 2-day trip to Jackson for this conference. We are not staying in the Four Seasons or the someplace really swanky by any means. It's just a regular old Hilton hotel, and it is nice. It's a nicely put together event. But we go down there to continue our education as public officials, and we have classes that we can go to. But it's also to talk with some of the legislators down there, to talk with Senator Mike McClendon, to talk with Representative Doc Karras, Kevin Blackwell, also from DeSoto County, Senator there, Senator David Parker, also from DeSoto County, Rodney Hall, representative from South Haven area, talked to several of them, talked to Appropriations Chair, Trey Lamar and Briggs Hobson over in the Senate. So we were down there working to try to, whether it was to talk about the Commerce Street exit.
Have we talked about the new cost for that exit?
We have not. That's kind of what I was slowly getting towards.
Okay, go ahead.
In my very, it takes me a minute. But talking about the Commerce Street exit with folks, and one of the things that came from last year's trip to Jackson was hey, we need a number, guys. The last time this thing was looked at, it was $25-30 million, and that was four or 5 years ago. Has it been designed? Is it shovel ready? Well, no, it's not. It's just something that people have been talking about for a long time, but the funding's not there. I think there's been a bigger push behind that because of Hernando's growth. And so through working with MDOT, the new price tag that's been applied to fixing the Commerce Street exit, expanding the highway, all the bells and whistles to get it done is over $120 million to get that fixed. Now, that is based on an MDOT recommendation of how to deal with that exit. You have a state highway, and even though it says Commerce Street, that's a state highway, correct, Chad?
It is now, yes.
Highway 304, that's a state highway that has an overpass that is a federal interstate. So while the city has some funds that we could potentially allocate, the city has nowhere near $120 million, nor will it ever have $120 million.
The state doesn't have $120 million to give us in 1 year.
It would be a large portion of their budget, of MDOT's budget, to allocate for one project in one city. It would have to be a multi-year funding model to make it work. So, when you think about MDOT, for example, we had heard from Brad White while we were there, the executive director for MDOT. He said that 53% of their funding comes from the federal government.
Sure.
Right. Without the federal government, they can't exist, basically, or it looks very different. So when your representatives here in Hernando, when Alderman and the mayor, when we go to D.C. or we go to Jackson, we're trying to connect all these dots to say this is something that really, really has to be addressed. We've been talking about it for forever. Everybody knows it's a problem. But now we have a nice round number to put towards it. So I think the goal now for Hernando is to continue to follow that up. We have another trip down there. I won't be able to make it, but I know some of the other aldermen and the mayor will be going down to Jackson again in February, called Driving DeSoto, and they go down there to talk more about the need for our exit to be addressed. I personally have not seen like the drawing for what $120 million buys. I don't know if you have or not, but
yeah. So I mean, we need to go back. So Driving DeSoto is a group that all the four major cities in Hernando or in DeSoto County and Walls come together, and we pay a lobbyist and we try to lobby for money, and we've been successful getting money for expanding Interstate 55. The first phase is going to be from Goodman Road to Church Road, and they already got some funding for that last year. In the original plan, it's a 3-year plan. I mean, a 3-phase plan to get all the way to Hernando, right?
that's right.
So that would be possibly 15 to 20, 25 years down the road. And so what we decided to do is lobby, hey, we understand that plan, that's great, but we also need funds to address Hernando now, not 20 years from now. Mm-hmm. And so we started doing that. We got like you said, I think it was $123 million to redo that the overpass at Hernando and Commerce, 55 and Commerce. You have cloverleafs on both sides there. Make it the interstate will become 6-lane. Underneath the interstate will be a 6-lane with a turning lane. So it's going to be a massive project. A lot of easements to buy. That's why it's so expensive. And so that's a long-term plan. Obviously, we don't have that kind of money. The city, the state, and federal, all are going to have to work together to do that. So we met with the appropriations chairman. So for people to understand, the appropriation committees in each the House and the Senate, they're the ones that decide where the money goes, right? So they're very powerful positions. So we sat down and had a face-to-face meeting with them, the mayor and some of the aldermen, to just say, hey, this is what we need. This is 120. We know we can't get that much money. Hey, can we get, I think it was $19 million to do some pre-work by the easements,
get it shovel ready.
Yeah, get it shovel ready, and then maybe next year or the year after that get some additional funding. And so that's kind of where we're at. And it's a needed project. It was needed 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I think, if I understand correctly from talking to Brad White, that initial thing was built in 1964 when the initial I-55 was put in. So, if you take the population of Hernando in 1964, I would dare to say maybe 2,500 people. And now we're busting at 20,000 people.
So what, as for people that listen to this that are just, they live in Hernando or maybe they live right outside of Hernando And when they get ticked off on a Friday afternoon trying to drive down Commerce, and there's a backup right there at that little pinch point, at that bottleneck, what can they do from your standpoint to get more attention on this?
Well, there's two things. We have the drivingdesoto.com. You can go there and sign a petition. I think we got over, I think it's 25,000 people have signed that. You need to get that. Keep getting over that. Also, contact your state senator, your state representative, and ask for this to be updated and improved. But what's frustrating, Ben, is that when you talk to somebody, you sit down with the lieutenant governor, you sit down with the Speaker of the House or whoever you're speaking with, and say, "Hey, I'm from Hernando." They kind of almost chuckle and say, "Yeah, I know you want the interstate done, right?" So I think everybody that we've ever spoken to agrees with doing it. It's just a matter of how to fund it, right? And this is what they call a capacity project. It's a new construction project. I don't think the way the state's MDOT is currently funded, I don't think there's a lot of money for new capacity projects. I think that's part of the issue, the funding model. I think we're going to get into some of that in just a minute when we talk about the House Bill 1 proposal legislation. And so there's only so much money they can use for capacity projects each year. The majority of their budget goes into maintaining what they have. And so that's kind of where we're stuck. We're stuck in that cycle of, hey, everybody knows we need to do this done, but it's $120 million.
Right.
The crew up here is asking for, I think, $150 million. We have major, expensive infrastructure needs in DeSoto County, and for too long, they have not been addressed. And, I'm not trying to be negative to any statewide official or anything like that, but it's time to get these things done, and hopefully we can start this year getting some funding for that exit, continue to get funding for the I-55 project all the way down, because we don't even talk about 305 needs to be expanded, 51 needs to be expanded. There's a lot of needs here in DeSoto County.
There is, and it really begs the point, I think, for us as local officials, and then also whether it's the county or statewide legislators or whatever else. There is growth happening in DeSoto County, and there's other parts of the state where there's no growth or it's declining, and it puts statewide officials in a situation where you say, do we basically put jet fuel on a fire where growth is occurring and make the situation better, or because they have growth, let the local people handle it. Hey, they're growing, they should be able to handle it themselves. That's a really easy excuse to make, and I think that's what's happened for a long time. That DeSoto County's doing well, they should be able to handle that problem on their own. Well, no, we can't handle $300 million projects on our own. We need some help to make that happen. If you're saying, as a statewide official, you're saying, hey, listen, if locally you guys can chip in whatever amount of money, then let's talk about it and let's figure it out. But that hasn't been really part of the equation just yet. So I think that it's important for us as local officials to really take a hard look at the projects that we're funding and say, are we putting money into infrastructure, or where are we putting money? Because we have water and sewer issues. We put all of our ARPA money towards those, and it did make a dent. It did pretty well. We had $3.7 million in ARPA funding. Quite a bit of that got matched by the state.
All of it, yeah, got reimbursed. Every bit of it.
Every bit of it got, so $7.4 million that got put in the ground. It's not things that you're going to necessarily see, or it probably won't affect your daily life, but it increased water capacity across the city. It extended sewer to areas like Dogwood Hollow and Ward 6, and the Green Tea area is going to be getting sewer, so it moved some of those things forward. But let's move on to, I know we mentioned House Bill 1 really quickly. You may have heard about this. House Bill 1 has been approved by the House. It moved over to the Senate, and it would decrease income tax in the state of Mississippi. It would eliminate it over time. It would decrease it almost immediately, and then eliminate it over time. It would take about 10 years. So not 10 years from 2025, but from when it goes active. So probably it's really 2037. No income tax at that point. But it would drop the flat tax rate on income down to 3% in year one, so that's a 1% drop, and then 0.3% for the next 10 years until it's eliminated. All right, so that costs money for the state to be able to do that. It's a huge amount of revenue.
They get revenue, so eliminating that would be a decrease in revenue.
Right. So now comes the shell game of where does the revenue come from? We're shifting it around. What actually is happening? So sales tax right now is at 7%. That would increase to 8.5%. Here in DeSoto County, as you know, we have a 2% tourism tax.
Yes.
So your sales tax is going to effectively be 10.5%.
Yes.
If this goes through. It hasn't gone through.
Now,
It could
Ben,
get
I
through.
think you're going to answer this in the next one, but that's non-grocery sales tax, correct?
Non-grocery sales tax. So you go buy, a T-shirt at Walmart, it's going to be 10.5% sales tax. Of that 10.5%, the city of Hernando would get 1.5 cents of all that
Come back to us.
coming back to us. Right now, the formula is 1.29 cents. So the city does get a considerable little bump there, almost a 0.25%.
We're going to see about 15% increase is what statewide.
Correct. So that helps balance the sheet a little bit for the state. We have a grocery tax decrease to 4.5% in year one, and it's also phased down to 2.5% over time. So that is another tax break, if you will, for people in Mississippi. Now, where are the increases? Right? There's got to be an increase somewhere to make everything work out. Where's the increases? You gonna hit the button? Yeah, it's coming at some point. The increases. All right, so a 5% sales tax on fuel
Increase.
5% sales tax. So your tank of gas, it costs you $50 today. If this goes through, it'd be $52.50, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's the right math.
I think we need to spend
so
just a quick second. So in 1987, they did what they call a highway program, and they set the gas tax at a flat rate of 18.5 cents, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so that has never changed. So what this would do is, in exchange for that, this would index that to the cost of gas. So it's a 5%, whatever the cost of gas. Mm-hmm. So if it's $3 a gallon, it's gonna be 5% of that.
$3.15.
Yeah.
Yep.
And vice versa. So you're going to see an additional. I think you're going to talk about. You got the sheet in front of you, so I think it's going to be about a $400 million increase.
That's correct. It's expected to net MDOT $400 million annually. Now that's a lot of money. $400 million. You got 82 counties in Mississippi, so $5 million per county, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure it'll divvy up just like that.
I just recently spent some time in Issaquah County, and I doubt they're doing $5 million worth of gas sales there.
No, I wouldn't think so. So we'll see how that funding model works out. I'm sure MDOT will have something very complicated to figure all that out. But additionally, it also, House Bill 1, it does a lot of things. It's like they had a checklist of issues, whether it was funding related or giving taxpayers breaks. It would shift lottery revenue of $80 million currently allocated to MDOT to PERS and guarantee PERS an additional $100 million in funding annually. Because there's liability there with PERS. That's the public employee retirement system.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
And so if you're a teacher that has 30 years in the retirement system, you retire, you're getting your annual PERS payment. There's liabilities that equal billions of dollars. If everybody retired at the same time, the funding model is upside down right now. So the lottery would now take care of that.
I wouldn't say
retirement.
upside down, no.
If everyone decided tomorrow to retire on the same day, it'd be a problem.
There's 68% funding. The recommendations be around 75.
Right. So I'm just saying, if you go trade in your car and they give you 68% value on something that you owe 75% on, you upside down. So I'm just saying.
I understand.
That's not going to, the likelihood that would happen is very minuscule. So that's why it's okay and it kind of works out or whatever. But something also needs to be fixed with it. It's shored up.
We could talk about it another time. There's a lot of structural issues with PERS. It was put on in late 1990s and early 2000s that's created this issue. But
yes. So a lot of things going on there. The effective date is July 1st, 2026. It would really go into effect 2027, correct? The 2027 tax year is when it would is when the income tax would go into.
That's when you would start with the first full point drop and then 3% after that. So.
Right. So that's why we say it is that it's 2037 basically when this whole thing's realized. Now, from a city standpoint, the city of Hernando was told we would benefit $933,000 to the good on this. That is a lot of things that we could do with that. Your property tax millage could be decreased potentially, while also funding more for things for the city.
Ben, I think we need to spend just a second explaining people the way we are funded. So I think people don't understand this. So cities are funded in basically two mechanisms: property tax, which is the millage rate we set,
right,
and then sales tax, right. That's where we get our. If we were a business or whatever, that would be where we get our invoices, we get our payments. That's our money we get. The state currently is funded on basically income tax. They get a percentage of the sales tax, so it's a 7% sales tax across the board. They give the cities back 18 or 22.5% or whatever. Or excuse me, 18.4% diversion back. Right? I can't remember. Anyway, so we get a diversion back, and that's where we get our. The city of Fernando gets about $6 million a year from sales tax. And then our property tax. That's how we're funded. So what this is going to do is really change. And there's a lot of theory behind it, but there's shifting the burden. I think Representative Lamar would say taxing work. So and you always make the suggestion that drug dealers don't pay income tax, but they buy gas. But they buy gas and they buy groceries and things like that, so they will be getting.
They buy boats and cars and all kind of stuff.
Sure. So some would argue this is a fair way to do taxes, and I'm not one to. I mean, that's everybody's entitled to their opinion. I think this is a more, there's a lot to this. Some people call it a tax swap. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's just realigning how the state is funded.
Yes.
And I think we're trying to be competitive with Tennessee and Florida and Texas in recruiting companies, and those states do not have an income tax. And if you would ask people who are strong proponents of this plan, they would say that's why we don't get those type of economic developments in our states, because we have an income tax. So, you agree with that or you don't, but I think that would be one of the strong arguments for it.
Right. I think it's ultimately what the state has continued to say ever since basically the COVID epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, is that the state had excess surplus. There's been thousands of jobs that have been eliminated at the state level. So they have $1 billion surplus. Well, what do we do with it? They're trying to give it back to the people. And there's going to be different ideas on how to do that. Do you give it back to the cities so that cities can be better funded? Then it's incumbent upon the cities to say, well, should we pass this on to the citizens, or should we increase the number of police officers we have, or should we create a rainy day fund so that way when hard times do hit, we're covered? There's a lot of things you could do with it. And that's kind of what we're in position to discuss and decide for the city of Hernando. But the Senate has to pass this. The lieutenant governor has different plans than what is on this piece of paper for House Bill 1. I think he really just wants to look at a grocery tax cut. And that seems to be the only plan that he has at this time, from what I've heard and from what I've read in the news. And that would certainly save some people some money.
Sure.
Every week when they go to buy groceries. It would not be as aggressive of a plan as this one is. I do think that the majority of people do want to see income taxes decreased or eliminated in Mississippi for sure.
And over the last, I'd probably say 6 years, 8 years, there's been talk about doing this. They slowly phased out different tax credits anyway. And the House, for whatever reason, has always been more aggressive in their plans. And then the lieutenant governor in the Senate has always been a little more conservative in making sure that the money's there and things like that. I think they're more invested in the long term, how this affects and things like that. So it's a big change. It could possibly be very positive for the state of Mississippi. So we'll see how it goes. That's it's kind of like making the sausage. So they've got the first ingredient, and now the Senate is going to look at it. And I think they're going to have a competing plan. From what I understand, it's going to be from what I listened to somebody talk on the other day on Super Talk Mississippi. I'm trying to think the gentleman's name. He's the finance chair of the Senate. He's going to have a bill, I think, released next week. That's going to, and he seemed very open to discussing some of these things. I think there is some agreement on some things, and so it's going to be interesting. This could be a big deal for Mississippi. It really could. I mean, you could see changing the whole financial model for the state. So,
and we've said this before on our podcast, but to be very clear, what we're discussing is not the official stance of the city of Hernando. This is Alderman Ben Piper and Alderman Chad Wicker talking. This is our own opinions on this. So I preface that to say this: any sort of tax cut like this, the reason why people are like, why not just do it? Why don't they just take care of it? Eliminate state income tax. Here's the hesitation, I think, for some of these folks is that you cut revenues. What has to happen is you have to make sure the people that are elected from that point on also have a very frugal and conservative standpoint on spending from there on out, right? That's not a hard concept to think about. You reduce revenues, you also are going to have to reduce expenditures. Right. And if you don't do that, if you don't rein in spending, if you don't control spending, you end up like the state of Kansas with a budget crisis. So I think that's where the hesitation. It all comes down to trust and loyalty and all these things.
And one thing, and I don't want to sound like I'm pro or con this proposal. I'm excited about certain parts of it, but we just spent the first 15 minutes talking about our exit and how we needed the money to do it, and basically we're told the state doesn't have it, and now well, let's cut our revenue. That doesn't make a lot of sense to some people, and so we've got to figure out a way. There's a good way to do it. There's a lot of smart people working on this. They do a lot of good work down there, and I have trust that they're going to continue to make the best decisions for the state, for the city of Hernando and DeSoto County. So they know our needs. They know our needs.
With every change to a tax plan, there's going to be winners and losers, right?
Sure. We
mentioned some of the people that would be quote unquote losers with this. People that don't file income taxes because they have some sort of unsavory, stature in life. They're they don't they do a cash business some sort of way.
Yeah,
they don't pay income tax. There's a lot of retirees do not pay state income tax.
Right.
Well, if their taxes on goods increase, they're the ones footing that bill.
Yeah, part
of that bill, right? That's just a reality. That's something that
you have a lot of elderly on fixed incomes and things like that.
So there's winners and losers. The winners are people that work every single day to provide for families and put food on the table. That's a lot of people in the state of Mississippi. It's not to say that it's good or bad. I think there's probably some things that need to be tweaked in it, and that's what the legislature's there to do.
That's what the process is for.
It's the start of a negotiation, so we'll continue to keep tabs on that.
I don't see this bill. This is going to go on the entire session. This is a 3-month session, so we'll still be talking about this at middle of March. So that's when we'll start getting some closure on this, I think. So.
We'll see how that plan all plays out. We did have a Board of Alderman meeting this week. That's not, we're not trying to downplay it, but House Bill 1 and some of the things we did in Jackson were very important things.
Do you want to speak about the redistricting?
Yes, we can absolutely do that because we did spend quite a bit of time discussing redistricting up there as well. So, the NAACP filed a lawsuit against the state of Mississippi to try to re-enfranchise or empower African American voters in the state in multiple areas. I think there's about 12 senators currently that would be affected through a redistricting effort to have minority-majority districts across the state, and one of them is here in DeSoto County. Yeah,
the lawsuit found that DeSoto County diluted the minority voting population in DeSoto County, so they have to redraw the districts. And there's strong rumors out of Jackson that the current proposal or the redrawing of the district will make Hernando split Hernando into a minority-majority district with parts of Tate County, Tunica County, Coahoma County, and Quitman County. No one's seen the proposal. They're keeping it close to the vest. This information comes from senators who have seen their district, and so it seems like it's a pretty good source.
Yeah.
So, but they have not done anything formally. They have not announced a plan. They haven't released a plan. This is just what they've drawn. This could really impact the city of Hernando. It would dilute our voting power by taking one of our 3 major precincts. And Ben mentions, you have some in Nesbit that's already kind of been split up, but that's all Hernando too. But taking one of our Hernando precincts, the big 3, I guess you would say, putting that in a district, a different Senate district, and then taking the other 2 and putting them in a district that represents, is represented possibly by a Democrat. And I just don't think the values of the residents of Hernando align with the Democratic Party in Mississippi. So I think that's just my opinion, but I think that's That's what I think. So.
Yeah, it's definitely some very high level politics that's going on there, and there's party politics, and how do you the Republican Party doesn't want to lose any seats in the Senate, so I think that there's a lot of percentages and numbers being thrown around down in Jackson right now. There's multiple plans. I think the ACLU had their own plan that they threw out there to draw a new Senate district up in South Haven, and then have Senators David Parker and Kevin Blackwell basically in an incumbent runoff in another district, and basically keep Hernando the same. So that's another plan that's out there. Ultimately, when all this is said and done, the Senate and the House can pass whatever redistricting plan they have, and then a judge look at it and say, you know what, I don't like this plan.
Right.
Go back and draw it again. So we could have an answer and then not have an answer again. So, I think that there's a lot more runway on that story than people realize. Just because it's adopted and it's approved, it doesn't mean it's necessarily the final word on it. So there's a long way to go on that one.
Well, hopefully there's some give and take, and they understand. We've spoken to the Senate leadership and explained to them that we'd like to keep Hernando together. So at least those 3 precincts. So
it makes sense. It makes sense to have your cities whole.
The best they can. I think they're going to try to do the best they can. So
I think Hattiesburg was going through some of the same things that that Hernando's going through, and we met with some of their folks as well, and kind of discussed through it. So you try to whether it's building alliances or build common ground where you can, and we'll have to continue to keep tabs on that. We'll certainly keep y'all informed on that as well. All right, so Board of Alderman meeting on Tuesday. Certainly. We were very proud to recognize Miles McMath and the folks at Meals on Wheels with our Community Service Award for the first quarter of 2025. If you don't know, Miles runs the Parish restaurant right there on Commerce Street, and twice a week they provide kind of a meat and 3 lunch with $1 of the proceeds of that lunch goes to Meals on Wheels, and they have sponsors that kick in extra dollars and that sort of thing. So it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year that goes towards probably thousands of dollars that go towards Meals on Wheels through this program that he has.
Sure.
He also very intentionally tries to hire people that maybe sometimes they're a little down on their luck. Maybe they've had a setback in life, and he gives them a second chance, whether it's hey, washing dishes or waiting tables or whatever it might be, working as a line cook, whatever it may be, gives them a second chance. So he really has a heart for the community. We're proud to recognize him. And Meals on Wheels, when people think, $100, $200, like that feeds a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a very good program. Hernando's program is very strong. So
they know how to stretch those dollars. So don't think that making $100 donation to Meals on Wheels doesn't change somebody's life, somebody's week. Absolutely does.
There's a lot of people shut-ins and stuff. They go by and feed. So some elderly people may can't get out, and so they stop by and feed them. So for a little while, my grandmother was a recipient of that before we had to move her to a nursing facility, but it's a great program. So
it is, and it's and so the next time you're out considering lunch or dinner in town, the parish is there. That's a free ad for them, I guess. We don't have any advertising, but
you can't beat the food there, man. It's one of the top notch places around.
It's good. So I don't know what's your go to when you go there. Just real quick,
man. I like the crawfish bread.
Oh man,
is the best appetizer, and I usually get whatever special he has.
Yeah,
is usually because I just know he does a good job. So, but oysters. I'm a big oyster guy. The oysters are always strong. So,
I go with the it's an appetizer, but I have it as a meal. It's you get a pound and a dozen. So you get a pound. You get a pound of peel and eat shrimp and a dozen raw oysters.
Yeah.
That's my go-to. It's just it feels like it's healthy, but it's probably not. Bless you. It's good stuff. But the crawfish bread, I've tried to replicate it. I can't quite do it. Miles, if you know the secret, you can send it to me, but can't quite get it just right.
Yeah, when we were down there in Jackson, we were talking to the mayor of South Haven. We were talking about he's going to come down and try out the parish. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if you were with me when we had that conversation, but we were talking about the parish and where to eat, and he's like, I'm going to come check that place out. I like seafood. So.
Okay. All right. Come on down. Try it out. Also in our Tuesday board meeting, we had some discussion surrounding Parks and Recreation and
Yeah,
Public Works kind of doing their end of the year wrap ups there. Parks is in a phenomenal place. All of the programs are growing over their 4-year averages. Prior to that, I think Jared has come in the last few years and just absolutely transformed that department.
570 kids playing soccer plus 578 kids playing soccer. That's huge. I think that shows. We talked about this privately, but that shows if you invest in infrastructure in the parks, you're going to see a growth. And I really think we have one of the stronger soccer facilities in DeSoto County now. I mean, I think we can put it where ours is. We can put ours right up there with everybody else. And so we're working with baseball, get that where we need to go. But I think soccer has showed us that if we put our money where our mouth is, we're going to see end results. So
by far the best basketball league in the county.
Sure.
So Jared's really been working hard, and the board has given him the ability to do that. On the public works side, Lee Germany, there's always so many things that they're working on. They're the folks that help take care of our roads, take care of potholes. Sure. That's always a thing.
The mayor had mentioned that he was going to share those PowerPoints. If they do, I will put them out on our website.
Absolutely.
On our because I think there's some good information on there. So
there's so many calls for service that those people, every day that we don't even realize. There's thousands and thousands of calls for service for, there may be a drainage issue, there may be sewer issue, water issue. And when you see the numbers, it really is surprising every year.
Well, we had that big rain right there, I think, right after Christmas. And I know they were dealing with some of those issues. And so he's been very, very handy to get some of those addressed for some of the constituents in my area. So.
Yeah, mine as well.
I think they do a good job with what they got. They probably would say they need more people, and maybe we can work on that. But they do a good job. So,
additionally, we had something right at towards the end of our meeting, the application for a RAISE grant, a RAISE planning grant. So people may say, "What's a RAISE grant?" We have applied for it the past couple of years, just trying to get full funding for a number of things. There's some bike lanes, there's some sidewalks, there's the possibility of burying electrical lines on Commerce Street. There's a lot of things that the RAISE grant could potentially cover. What we have learned through some of the engineering firms that we work with is the best thing you can do is to apply for a RAISE planning grant, which allows for all the work to be planned and engineered first. Take care of that piece of it first, and then go for the next level of getting the actual grant. So that's what that is. So it's several $100,000 that would go into all the engineering around it. It would also look at the connection of 2 dead ends currently in Renaissance Park, where the road is coming in from Robertson Gin Road, and where the road is going further and deeper in with phase 1 and 2 of Renaissance Park. Connecting those 2 roads, it's estimated to be around $2.3 million for that entire project, but engineering that out so that it's a shovel-ready project that could maybe be funded by a grant so that it doesn't fall back on the city budget. So a lot going on with that. That's what that RAISE planning grant is getting that engineering done and getting some things drawn up so that we'll be shovel-ready to get a grant in the future.
Yeah, that's something we've tried to do the last couple of years, and I think with, just be frank with politics, I think with the Democratic administration and being in a red state, that was probably spitting in the wind. But I think we feel like with going this route and getting the plan together, the planning people together to help, we have a better shot. So again, we're always looking for ways to improve. And the RAISE grant, that's a lot of like walking trails, things like that, that are can be applied for. So hopefully we'll be successful. I think this will be the 3rd or 4th year that we've applied for that. I think so.
Hopefully we can get a little more help on it. Anytime we get those grant funds, I know a lot of people may not realize that sometimes these grants are 10% or 20% funded by the city. So you look at something that costs $700,000 that the city would have to allocate a ton of funds towards. Now it's only $140,000 or $150,000, and we can get a massive project done. So, the engineers that we work with and GM Athene's office, they do a great job of looking for ways for us to get grant funding to make all this work and to really stretch the tax dollars to get as many things done as possible. Because we are a growing city, but we have growing pain problems like this that can be addressed by some of these grants. Chad, anything else off the agenda that really popped up that was
No, do you want to talk
note?
about Dogwood Hollow Sewer? I think that was one of the meetings that we skipped over.
Yeah, we
It's important to your guys up there.
Yeah, we did mention it earlier. With the development of Delta Landing, one of the things that the city negotiated and I negotiated in that process was getting sewer extended to the property lines at Dogwood Hollow. So the city is now going to be connecting that sewer. Skylight Construction has done their part to get the sewer there. The city's now doing their part. It's around $25,000-$30,000 to get that sewer connected to the water treatment plants.
Get them off the
Dogwood
lagoon
Hollow.
up there.
That's it, and it's 40 to 45 homes. For new customers for sewer. They have 2 lagoons, small lagoons on that street. They're going to be decommissioned. The person that owns them, I think, got them in a tax sale or something like that. So that's, as far as reclaiming those properties, that's going to be a little bit more of a long-term process. But they will become less of a problem over time. But we can deal with MDEQ and the EPA and some of those folks. The city will be working on that to get those cleaned up over time. But the people there should be. One, they should be excited at the opportunity to be able to connect into city sewer because it's something that is a basic city service that has not been there before. They were annexed 10 years ago, and we're finally starting to make some progress. Is the progress coming way slower than it should? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I've told folks.
Well, we've addressed some of those
being,
Dogwood Hollow and then also getting Green Tea hooked up. So I think we're making some positive, obviously for those residents, not nearly as fast as they probably would like, but I think we are moving in that direction. So.
And it's, it is one of those things, I probably hear it more than anybody else because I'm in Ward 6 and everybody in Ward 6 was annexed in.
That's right.
Everybody in Ward 6 was annexed in the last 15, 20 years. So I hear it more than anybody else. Continue to tell me, continue to remind me. Yeah. I'll tell you where we are and update you as best I can.
I hadn't seen any Facebook posts saying it stinks over there in a while. Y'all to get that fixed?
Well, we're still working on it. We're still working on that. We did... What Chad's referring to, he thinks it's hilarious, I guess, because he didn't have to deal with it. But what Chad's referring to is we have had a sewer smell over there on Jaybird Road from time to time, affecting like Notting Hill and Forest Meadows. And there's a metering station over there where basically
it was a leak or something, right? Was some kind of gas was escaping?
Golly, gee whiz! Let me tell a story here. There's a metering station there across from Notting Hill. There's some green fencing right there where cattle are walking past it all the time normally, where basically all the sewer in Hernando flows to cold water, down that way. And so the assumption was there's some sort of leak somewhere. There were some concerns about it. They did a smoke test there. We caulked all the manholes in that area. There were some small leaks found here and there. There were some issues there. The other problem that we eventually found once that work was done was that there was some private sewer lines that had broken in the area and that needed to be capped off and fixed by the homeowners. And so that work is being done as quickly as the homeowners can address it. The city's just checking in on those as they come along. I think that almost all of them are repaired now.
Okay.
But it has taken some time. I get that people are frustrated. It's gross. I'm not going to lie. It's something that is quite frankly, it's something that we have to do.
Yeah. And I'm just giving you a hard time. I knew it took a while to figure out where it was coming from. I think it was kind of a mystery there. So, you got anything else?
I'm trying to think of anything else.
I think we need to address. Ben, I think we've, obviously there's municipal elections this year.
Okay.
And I think we've talked about this and we decided we're just going to, we're not here to promote ourselves or promote other candidates as far as at that level. So I think we're going to just stay out of that. And
I think
you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think, what we're getting at is in the past we, when there was a DA race, a sheriff's
county
race,
level race,
county level race, whatever it might be, we would bring in the candidates and interview them and all that sort of thing. We're not going to do that. Chad and I are both running for re-election. We've posted that on our own personal social media pages, so we're not going to necessarily, go through and dissect all these local alderman races or the mayor race or anything like that. We will announce, after the qualifying deadline, hear who the people are.
Sure.
But we're not going to bring everybody in and question them because we don't want to have any kind of.
We're going to possibly serve with them, and
Right.
and I never want to use this as a way to promote my political career or whatever. I don't think you either. I think this is more to put out information. So I just want to. But some people have asked about that and asked if they were going to be on the show. If we're going to have people. So I think some other podcasts are going to have some people on. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to listen to them.
That's it. So that is that. I appreciate you bringing that up and clarifying that. But yeah, so kind of a long show today. We had a lot of good discussion.
15 minutes, man.
If you have any questions about, whether it's a bill that's going on that you feel like is going to affect Hernando or DeSoto County, please reach out to us and we'll try to get some answers for you. If you need some clarification on any of the things we talked about today, drop us a comment or shoot us a message.
Yeah, and I may put that breakdown of House Bill 1. I may drop that on our Facebook page too, so people can see that. That's the Mississippi Municipal League put a little breakdown out there, so I'll share that as well sometime this afternoon. Well, Ben, if that's all I got, man.
That's all we got. We appreciate y'all listening. For now, I am Ward 6 Alderman Ben Piper.
I'm Ward 4 Alderman Chad Wicker.
Thanks for listening.
Waiting on a train.